Coming on for our show today, Concussions Anonymous. This is Lisa Khera from In Balance Pilates. My co-host, Monet from the Opticalm Visual Stress Clinic is away this week, but we'll both return for our show next week. So today we're talking about how Pilates is very good for post-concussion healing. So I myself, as many of you know, I'm a Pilates instructor. I've been doing Pilates for 19 years. I originally got into it because of a back injury, and luckily, after having a post-concussion myself, with having the Pilates background, it really helped on the healing process. So the big thing about Pilates, and one of the reasons why it's so beneficial for the post-concussion healing, is we're really focused on breathing. So whether it's with Pilates or with yoga, we're focused on breathing, taking deep breaths, using that deep breath pattern to be more mindful, to help us with stress reduction and stress relief. And really, you know, the breath is the only thing that we can control. So we can really let the breath be your anchor and go to those breathing exercises on the times that you know you need a quick way to really relax and de-stress. Quickly doing your breathing exercises, going to a spot where you're taking that time to be very mindful and meditative is very helpful for stress relief, for calming the body, calming the mind. Huge for that. And we've talked on our show Concussions Anonymous before about breathing and how the breath is so important, even back to our show on slips and falls, like being able to take that time to breathe deeply and let it really relax your body is really key and really important. So the breath with Pilates is very helpful for setting you on your post-concussion journey. The breathing that we do, we are always trying to breathe in through the nose, filling up the backs and sides of the rib cage, and breathing out through the mouth. We often do what we call a pursed lip breath. So it's almost like you're breathing out through a straw and you're actively blowing the air out. And that's what helps to activate transversus abdominis, which is a muscle that pulls in around your waist like a girdle. It's like your internal kind of weight belt. So the breathing, just learning to relax any unnecessary stress that you might have in your neck and shoulders and your back. So learning how to do those deep breathing exercises to combat that is very important. As well, with our Pilates principles, just being in neutral and knowing what it is to have your lumbar spine in neutral. So when you have the natural curve in your low back, when you're not overly arched nor you're not overly flexed, just having that awareness of having your spine in neutral can really help alleviate any low back issues, and it just helps really bring you into that awareness of how your body might be feeling. So let's say if you have a lot of tenderness on one side of your back, and then you realize that you're always sitting with your hip really hiked, or you're always sitting in a certain chair with one leg crossed and one leg's up, and you're just kind of in an awkward position, being able to link that sitting posture to pain, and then being able to readjust and find a different position, and being able to alleviate that back issue or that back pain, just because you're getting more awareness of how you're sitting and how you're standing, that kind of thing. So awareness on pelvic placement and your posture, your low back, whether it's in neutral or what position it's in. Thinking as well of the Pilates principles about our neck and shoulders and our scapular movements and scapular stability. So your shoulder blades. So a lot of us may also have cervical spine issues or neck issues. If you were involved in a slip and fall or a motor vehicle accident, you may have some other neck issues going on. So again, being really mindful of when you're in your daily activities. Are you rounding forward? Are you kind of hunched? Are you hiking? Are you like rotated all the time? Are you hiking a hip all the time? Being really mindful of what your body tends to do and what postures it tends to go into when you're moving in dynamic posture, and when you're more in a static posture, when you're sitting, when you're, even think about the places. So whether it's if you're sitting down to do a bit of work on a laptop, how are you sitting there? What are you sitting on? Are you, what is your posture in? When you sit down, if you sit down in the evening and are watching TV or anything, how are you sitting? What is that chair like that you're sitting in? Again, are you really flexed in your lumbar spine? Are you propped up and very arched in your low back? So again, using those Pilates principles to put it into your daily activities for what is your posture tending to do? What position is your body in? Am I feeling pain? Am I feeling tense? Am I feeling relaxed? Is my body moving with ease? So being able to apply all the Pilates principles that we would in any given exercise, being able to apply that to your daily habits and your daily activities and your daily body positions, just gives you that much more awareness, that many more tools for your toolbox of eliminating pain and stress, aside from the breathing that we mentioned before. And then as well, I've mentioned on our show before, what are your shoulders doing? Are you rounding forward? Are you hunched? Are you able to find those times when you're able to open up through your collarbones? Are you able to picture your shoulder blades gliding back into a V and thinking of that string lengthening you up on top of your head so that you're getting taller? That all makes a huge, huge difference for sure. And I already taped a Pilates class today, so I've been on the computer a lot already, so I have my notes just in case. Rib cage placement. So again, being aware, whether it's when you're exercising or in your sitting posture, and that what's going on with your ribs. Are your ribs flaring open and popping open and putting a lot of extension on your thoracic spine? Or are you able to picture that your obliques attach on your ribs and you want to gently glide your ribs in so that your ribs aren't popping, your mid-back's not arching? So again, just being able to think about how are we standing during the day, how is the body moving, where are we over moving or under moving, and applying those principles that way makes a big difference. And your head and cervical placement. So this one's huge. So in Pilates, we're often thinking a lot about when we are bending forward and when we're extending, and how we want our cervical spine to follow the path of the rest of our spine. So if we're doing a bit of flexion in our mid-back, we're going to be doing a bit of a nod of the chin. If we're extending the mid-back, we're going to be lengthening through our chest and opening through the spine so that we're not extending but then letting our head still hang in flexion. So that's part of it. But the big thing I really noticed with the whole head and cervical spine issues, and how the part of Pilates relates to post-concussion stuff, is I did vision therapy for a good, I think it was about 1.5 years. So even things like this guy, right? If any of you have done this, and if any of you have done vision therapy, but let us know in the comments, pop that in the comments, and remember to subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. But so something like this, where you're like taking these sticks and doing those exercises, if your head is in a little bit of a tilt or a shift, or if I have it shifted, right, or side bent or tilted, or if I'm really forward head or whatever I might be doing, the way this picture comes out in our field of vision is even more scrambled if your head is a little bit tilted. So being able to be mindful of, even when you're doing vision therapy exercises, whether it's something like that or the one where you're trying to bring that stop sign back together with a pen or your finger or whatever, anything like that, I would always notice if my cervical spine was in that tilt or shift or whatever, it made doing stuff like this even more difficult. So that's one thing. So being aware of, okay, am I shifted a little? Am I tilted? You might be aware of that because you have a lot of pain or stiffness on one side of your neck. That might be an indicator that you're doing something funky with your neck. And then even things like this, when I did stuff like this, I don't know if any of you have done stuff like this, there was, again, quite a difference if I wasn't grounded through the feet. So having both feet firmly planted on the ground, being aware of both sides evenly working through the body, and helping that to connect through the brain to work evenly through the body. So again, placing both feet on the ground, kind of waking them up a little so that you're remembering that both sides are trying to work evenly. That was huge. So again, that Pilates background, that Pilates awareness of where's my body in space, so proprioception, balance, using the breath to calm. It can be very stressful and annoying and really like decrease your confidence when you're having to go through all these exercises that normally would have been very simple. So again, like noticing when your body is getting stressed, when you're feeling that lack of confidence when you're trying to do these things, and just breathe and stress relief and keep building on that confidence of all of it. It makes a big difference. And as I said before, like just being really aware of your daily activities and what position your body tends to be in. So even if you're, think of when you're at the sink, if you're doing any dishes, how does your body tend to stand? What is your low back doing? Are you overly arching? Are you hiking a hip? Are you trying to do them really fast and your shoulders are up by your ears? If you're back to work or if you're commuting to work, noticing how your shoulders are on that commute. Are you tensing up by your ears? Are you slouched forward? So again, just applying those Pilates principles there makes a big difference. I myself offer Pilates online, so we'll do group Zoom classes, plus I have downloads that you can get. So for myself, sometimes throughout the whole post-concussion healing, I certainly wouldn't have wanted to go to a gym. I certainly wouldn't have wanted to be in a big open room, having to socialize with people. For me, I was doing that thing where I was not wanting to take in the periphery and I was really focused on the details. So the whole being in a big open room with a lot of flicker, with ceiling fans, with big windows, and it was snowing outside, it just wasn't worth it for me. So being able to work out at home was such a savior for me, because I had to be able to do it at home. And I myself did stuff like Beachbody on demand because I like being able to have the variety at home. And then of course you'll see some of my Pilates equipment here at my home studio. So being able to just incorporate breathing exercise, Pilates exercise, posture, catching myself if I was having that forward head posture. If I was doing something on my phone where, you've got your head tilted down, you think of how much your head weighs. We've all seen those graphics, infographics of just what's really going on with your head when you're on your phone or that kind of thing. So just utilizing all those tips and tricks that you would have already been getting from your Pilates practice and applying that to making your body feel as optimal as it can, especially on this healing journey, and finding any way you can for just that extra stress relief and self-care is huge. So that's that. And two, I've had a few people write in this week specifically about exercise and wondering if I have any tips on how you can get back to exercise yourself. So when it comes to with exercise and your heart rate, you would want to make sure that you've got that guidance from your doctor or your physiotherapist for what your heart rate, what you're aiming for what's allowed on that and pressure in that. So that's number one, you're going to find that out. But number two, if you are having issues with exercise, I would want you to think about some of the surroundings around. So Karen did a really good job at one of our other shows about visual distress and some of the stuff in your urban environment. So again, thinking about where you're trying to work out. Is it like a busy background wall behind you that's causing some visual distress? Are you facing a window and you're seeing like big snowflakes out the window and that's bothering you a bit? Is there a ceiling fan that might be irritating things? So first kind of think about your environment. Or are you driving to a gym? So maybe it's the drive there. Are you driving somewhere and then having extra socialization that you're not really up for? So just think about kind of the whole picture and then maybe try to adjust that way. Have you had enough water? Are you fueled up properly with your food and diet? So just again, thinking about the whole scenario. If you've attempted to do something and you keep flaring things up pretty bad and then you're feeling pretty crappy for days, are you just having a bit as well of that, just that pre-stress of wanting to get back into something but it's not been working out, so there's that bit of like extra nerves? You'd want to take that into consideration as well. For myself with the Pilates, I do right now have a, depending on when you're watching this, a $15 credit for clients that you can scoop up. So if you've been thinking about trying a Pilates download to do a class at home or thinking about joining one of our Zoom group classes, you can use that $15 credit that's right in your account. You just have to use the code SPRING at the checkout, and that's all on my website. And then of course you can use that $15 credit towards my online course, Healthy Brain and Optimal Posture. So that's an option. But yes, Pilates, yoga, fitness, anything where you're doing the mindfulness, obviously meditation, that's another show. But yeah, so doing anything where you're doing your mindful breathing, using the breath as a stress reliever, being mindful of your posture and what position your body's in, being mindful of if you are having a lot of neck tension or upper trap tension, knowing that, okay, if that side's tense, maybe have I been hiking my shoulder or tensing my shoulders or holding any unnecessary tension there. Just being aware of what position your body's in and how you can bring it back closer to neutral. Relax your neck and shoulders, relax your low back, do your mindfulness breathing to relax any unnecessary tension. And the great thing about Pilates is there's always ways to modify. So if you don't want to be on all fours, you can do that same exercise in sitting. If you have wrist issues, if you don't like to kneel, if you have kneeling issues, if you don't want to do something in standing because your balance is feeling really off, there's always ways to modify, which is fantastic. And let me know if you have any questions about Pilates and how it can be such a great help on your post-concussion healing. And I'm trying to think if that's all I wanted to cover with you. I think so. Please remember to subscribe to our channel. So on YouTube, it is Concussions Anonymous. And then we're usually live streaming on my business page, In Balance Pilates Studio. Again, Karen Monet from Opticalm is away this week, and she will return next week. We'll have another show for you next week. As always, if you're interested in being a guest on our show, please reach out and get in touch. You can sign up on my website if you're interested in when the next group online class is. So that's at inbalancepilates.ca, and you can get in touch with me and definitely find out when the next class is available. At the Opticalm clinic at opticalm.ca, they have a wide variety of assessment tools. If your child is having any difficulties in school, it might be worth looking into Opticalm to see how it could really help out in the classroom, depending on what's up with like the visual system and that. Karen can help you out with all that. But yeah, I've been amazed at just learning more about what her clinic does, and it's great. So thanks again. We're happy to bring you this show. Let us know if you have any future info topics you'd like brought up onto the show, And again, comment below if you've done any Pilates. We'd be excited to know if you've ever done Pilates, so you can let us know in the comments. And sharing is caring, so as always, if you want to share out the show, we would be so appreciative of that. So have a great weekend, everyone. Stay safe and have fun, and we will talk to you soon.